Greetings, Earthlings! My name is Zero Jake and welcome back to Space Engineers, where we have our lovely cargo rover. Very useful, very helpful when I went mining, and very helpful when I went to strip down some more of the lander. This rover is proving to be very, very valuable. Now, I have done a bit of mining. We've got, of course, some silicon, we've got some stone because we're going to gravel, and we've got quite a lot of uranium ore available. The solar panels are doing mostly a good job at keeping up with the refinery, and we are draining some power. We're about a few hundred kilowatts out, like 200 kilowatts out, because it's the drain is spread across both batteries. But that's during the day. During the night, we're spending about 600 kilowatts an hour. Is it 600 kilowatts an hour? No, just 600 kilowatts to keep the refinery running. I think I can corroborate that if I open the thing here. Yeah, 560 kilowatts input. We are using a different solar panel script, which I will show off at a later date when we build a proper one, because we're going to need to improve that tower. So yeah. Now, first things first. Inside the rover, we've got several access points. We've got this here, that here. We've got an output there, which is going to be a connector. We've got on top here, which is going to be a connector. I've also added a gyroscope because I kind of tipped it over a bit on its back because, well, it doesn't do very well when you throw everything at the rear cargo container. So cargo 1 is the one that we want to stack everything into. Now, as you'll notice, this rover is currently storing at least 15,000 litres worth of inventory space. Whereas, if we go over to ours, 15,000 is one cargo container, and 15,000, well, we're getting close to our cargo capacity, right? And whilst that is expected, it's not good, in a sense. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to, first of all, build a large cargo container. Second of all, build a bay in which we can dock the rover to in order to deposit all of its cargo easily without me having to do it by hand, because I've got 400 litres of inventory space, and boy was it painful to grind down one of those atmospheric thrusters, which is why we have so many rotors. And then third, if we can get to it, I want to place a base or a mining outpost on top of the uranium and silicon deposit. It should have a antenna so that we can access it from a distance. We also want an ore detector on it so it can detect ores, the usual way. Which means that if we're broadcasting and it's broadcasting, we can see the amount of ores that are there, which is good. Also, it needs cargo containers and a loading bay for the cargo rover so that we can, of course, roll the rover up, collect all the ores that have been mined, and then move it away. Now, because we're currently mining by hand, it's not high on the priority list, but I do want to do it at some point. But when we've got the ability to eject tons and tons of ores into a cargo container using, for example, a mining laser or a mining drill or a quarry or something like that, we want a base to be there so that we can get things rolling. And if we can automate that process, that's even better. But for now, just an outpost there that allows me to see all the ores in a nearby area would be useful. Now, back over to sensible things. First things first, we need to get ourselves a cargo container, which I do believe we have the resources for. At the very least, we have the ingots worth for it, because we can melt down all of this and throw it into the stuff that we don't have. We're going to need more displays, for example. Right, so we're going to grab about 50 steel plate, which should be enough to throw out everything that we need. Right, so first things first, we're going to want to keep this 5x5 area, though it is going to be a 3x3. Yeah, we're going to move the refinery later at some point because we're still keeping this a outward area. But I have a way in order to do this properly. So we're going to need to place a ground area. I'm also going to need my drill, so give me a second. Let's get in here, grab the drill, get out, get the drill. We're going to need to excavate a bit of this area in order to place down everything. But we'll weld up the stuff that's there first so that we can get everything, well, so that we don't damage it enough, or too much rather. So let's do this. We're going to need to crouch, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Weld, 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 and then weld. And let's go grab it again. Grab some steel, run over. That's been welded. This needs welding when I can get the chance. There we go. And this needs welding. Don't worry, this shouldn't take long. Now, whilst I'm welding things, I may as well talk about the plan for the base. So currently, we're sitting out in the open, which, if we had walls enabled, would mean that we'd be dead by now. Because they chew through armor, which is weird. They really shouldn't. As cyberdogs, they should, but never mind. So, we're going to want to build a structure in which we can house the medical facility and anything that needs to be inside, which isn't everything, but quite a lot of stuff needs to be inside the base. Medical room, a control room in which we can sit on a control chair. We need LCDs. All that. All of that is required. We're also going to want a factory. Yep, just deform the entire shape, why don't you? Give me a second. I think I need to be standing right now. Just weld up all of this so that it's not deformed anymore. There we go. Continue to place down light armor blocks. We don't have enough. No, we do have enough. Continue. Yeah, so we're going to need a main building like we did in Season 3. We're going to want to build a proper landing pad for Scout Mark II, because the current Scout craft that we've got, which is the one currently docked over there, we're going to need to replace that with a better craft. Because currently it's just, well, not really effective at doing what it needs to do. And then we also need, of course, the landing bay, well, the loading bay for the rover. And then we're also going to need some more assemblers. Yeah, that's quite a lot of stuff that we need to do. Anyway, continuing. We're nearly done with getting everything in. We'll throw the scrap metal there for now. We are wasting steel by doing this, but I'm not really caring at this moment in time. I remember a time where attempting to drill armor plates didn't break it. And that's probably because I was using shields. Which we should probably get as well. Like a shield generator to shield the base from potential harm. Anyway, once we weld this up, we should be able to place down the cargo container and throw down a connection from here. We do a 1, 2, 3, 4 to the cargo container, and then we can move everything from the cargo containers into the new one, and then we have a lot of space. Right, so we're going to need some interior plates. I'm going to want cargo container. One large one, please. Right. Is this oriented properly? Yes, it is. Like it matters. Throw it down. And now, welding. Okay, so we have the cargo container built. We've also connected it to the conveyor network, and now all we need to do is we need to move over everything into it. So we're going to call, yeah, large cargo container, that's fine. We're going to do that, and then we're just going to fill it with everything. Because it deserves it. We want, let's go, let's do that so that we don't have any issues. And then we can fill it up with all of this, which is brilliant. It means that we no longer need those two cargo containers. Now, this thing has a maximum capacity of 421 litres. which is no 421,000 liters, which is pretty good. I doubt that we'll run out of inventory space in a short while. Now that we've got this set up, the next thing that we want to do is we want to build an area which we can dock the rover onto so that we can transfer its inventory. First things first, we need to actually have a connector that we can connect it to. Now, since building two connectors may be a bit more resource intensive than we need it to be right now, we have two options. Either we can have a weird system which we can place a connector on top and then have a connector that dangles above and then goes downwards via piston, which would be the engineering route. Or if this thing is in a correct frame of mind, we basically have a connector here and a connector on the wall, and then they connect together. So we're going to need to do a slight bit of experimentation with that. So first things first, we're going to need a platform, which I believe we do have steel for. So we're going to grab that. I might need to move. I'm going to need to move the rover. Now, first of all, we want to find a good location. Well, no, we're going to do some testing, and then using the information that we get from the testing, we can find a location in which we want to build this thing. So let's move the rover out of the way. Park it here. So for the sake of making things easy, we're just going to create a platform out this way. Now we want the rover to be able to land, to be able to roll onto it. We're also going to make sure that it's all good in terms of it's secure and everything. I do believe that the rover won't instantly destroy these upon going on top. Might be a good idea to test that now before I start doing any work. We also need to go backwards onto it. Now, it would be fine if we had light, and we will have light in a few minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll up here. We're probably going to need to make a rover Mark II because actually I think I can solve the turning circle problem. Yeah, because our turning circle is ridiculously bad. Right, front, turning circle, steering angle. Turn up to 22 and see how that goes. Disable. Right. That should allow us a better turning circle, I believe. Because the turning circle previously was very, very bad. Like, so bad. You wouldn't even believe. Well, you probably would. No, wrong way, wrong way. Park. You buffoon. I think that's why we have a proper turning circle. Yeah. I can fly spaceships. Driving ground craft, on the other hand, it's a bit more tricky. Right, so we're just gonna slowly but surely. No, other way. Other way. Okay. Park here. Good. Now, whilst this may destroy itself, I pray it doesn't, we're going to want to check something. So, we are going to need to make this flat at some point, so if we just extend this a bit. Keeping it unwelded for now so that we can make sure that we can get rid of it in a quick enough fashion, since the grinder that we're currently using is rubbish. Right, unpark, move back. We're level. Good. Park. Now this is a good area to have the parking bay, by the way. It's right next to the car container. I don't know why that validates it, but it's right next to the conveyor network, so that we can easily get a connector up here. I mean, we've got a connector up there. We're going to need to create a new connector for the scout ship, but I believe we're going to change that function before we start using flying around en masse to transport things. We'll stick with the rover, thank you. So, right. We do also need to make sure that this is, when it's docking, it goes on a central line. So we may need to excavate part of this out so that we can create a proper road. But for now, what we want to do is we want to... so you're here, effectively. So we're going to go up, 1, 2, and yeah, I thought as much. If we do that, and throw a connector here. right? And then we throw a connector on here. They do kind of match up, but not as close as I'd like it. Now, we could do... I think I have an idea. Right, I've got an idea. We're going to move this thing forward, right? Unpark, move forward. Thank you. So we're going to need, if we're going to continue like this, we're going to want to place a connector here. Now the reason why we want this design rather than the above design is because it's much less resource intensive in order to get it done properly. So here's the circle there, or at least circles at that height. This thing's a bit low. So what we could do, now either we could increase the height of the rover. That might work. Can we increase the height of the rover? If we access... No, get in access wheels. We have a thing here, wheels, and we should be able to increase the height offset. Axle height offset from center. Okay. Now, I'm just going to double check quickly that all of these are the same level. So minus 45.8. So this one is minus 45.8. This one is minus 45.8. The left one is minus 45.8. And the other one probably the same thing. Good. So what we're going to do is on tab 2, which is, you know, all the finicky stuff. Tab 1 can be something else. We're going to grab the group of wheels. And this one is going to be increase... Where is it? Down here. Right. Increase suspension, increase height offset. Right? Okay. And this one is going to be decrease height offset. So, for example, if I was to press 3, what happens? We want to disable parking brakes as well, do we? Yeah, disable parking brake. Well, enable it. Right, so if I press 3... we go low rider. Okay. And if I press 4, to the maximum that it will allow me, it will put us up to there. Right. Okay. But what if... Right. Let's disable parking brake so I can go forward. Right, I'm going to park here. We can do something else. So we can't go high enough, but we will be able to go low enough. So if we get the half block, we summon the half block from beyond the grave. And we place half blocks here, and half blocks here, and press T to make sure that that doesn't keep happening. Really wish to have this here, but for now we'll keep it like this. We keep going like this. Right, and then we have this thing so that we can get up onto it. Okay, right, so let's go over here. We should be lined up to it. Right, we're going to disable parking brake and go slowly. Okay, slowly. Right, and then we want to increase speed. Of course, we'll do this properly next time. I'm thinking we want to change this up just a tad. Go forward. Yeah, go forward a bit more. Yeah, we're going to need to change this up just a bit. We're going to get rid of these. Now we don't need this layer underneath. So what we can do is we can have this ground bit be these, be the light armor blocks, and then have this just on this level. So it's 1.5 blocks taller. Right, let's get this. Let's place these up properly. Right. Now, that shouldn't be too much for the wheels to deal with. But I'm not confident. So we're going to move forward a bit more so I can do it again. Let me out. Right. That's still too high. Yeah, let's change this over to the slope. You know, it'd be brilliant if I was testing this on flat terrain, which I should probably do at some point. But you know what? We'll wait. Right, okay, so wait, we're good here. Unpark. Start moving down. Right. Okay. There we go. Right. So we're here, and as you can see, I'm going to try and keep the parallax error to as little as possible. Parallax being difference because they're in different locations, but you can't tell due to one viewpoint. Right, so we want to decrease, right? So we can decrease this, we can lower it. Noting that we actually, we do want a higher suspension, we do want a higher offset when we're traveling, just so that we don't hit hills, but we can lower it like a bus, and we should be able to dock. That's pretty good. Yeah, so if we do that, probably lower it a tiny bit more. No, lower. Yeah, so we can lower... Hang on, how far can we lower it? Down to about 35 centimeters. Is that the limit? Yeah, it is. But yes, that should work. I'm confident that this is how we do things. And then, of course, we boost up a bit to about 45, and then we roll off again. Okay. So give me a second to get this torn down so we can set it up properly, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so we have the connector on the docking port built, and we've got the connector on the rover built. Now, the reason why I'm not welding anything up is because whilst doing so, I was reminded by my own voice that measure twice, cut once. Otherwise, you're going to have to bulldoze everything. Which is very painful when it takes you about 30 minutes to do that. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to go back to Control 1 and we're going to configure the connector. We'll rename everything later once we're done, but 3 is switch lock and 4 is on off. So we should just be able to on off all the time that we want, and also press 3 to lock and unlock. Now, the other side should be fine, but what we're trying to do, even if this connector doesn't connect to the network, it does connect to the power, which means that we can recharge this guy's batteries when we need to, because currently we're living on how much battery charge? A bit lower than we had before, but still, we don't need much power to run this thing, but we do want the ability to recharge it using our reactor and our batteries and solar farm and what have you. Right, now we do need to remember not to build this thing too tall, otherwise we are going to get smacked in the head by the solar array. We are going to need to change where that solar array is soon anyway, but we'll do that in the near future. Anyway, I've got lighting underneath here, which is going to make things useful. Anyway, I should stop saying that. Backing up, we should be careful. Well, I don't want to kill everything. Right, we just want to go right. So we should be in line, I think. Oh, come on, do it properly. Yeah, we're close enough. So we're going to hit the parking brakes. No, we don't. We're currently not moving, which is good. It means I can start messing around with the height. No, decrease height. Yep, there we go. Right. So we can dock onto this thing now. Cross your fingers. And there we go. Recharge. And now our batteries should be recharging at quite an amount. So yeah, we can now recharge our ship. Our rover. Thumbs up. Now all we need to do is we need to put in a connection thing. So let's get that done. Noting that I probably need to move this thing one forward, but I don't care at this point. Parking brakes, please. Connected, disabled. Turn that bit back on, please. Because pressing parking disables the thing. Park. Right, charge, please. We are going to need to add a hotkey to enable and disable the lock on these wheels. That is quite low. I mean, look at that. Wouldn't be able to do this on hilly terrain, he says, on a hill. But yeah, that's quite low. Good thing we built this thing properly. Anyway, we've now got that. All we need to do is we need to hook it up to the connector, and then, you know, my job's a hell of a lot easier. Right, we have steel plate, which we're not going to need. We're going to need a bunch of construction component, which is what I currently have. I thought I told you to... There you are. Okay, good. Yeah, so we're going to disassemble some of our interior plates since we don't need it. Hang on. There we go. We're need a bunch of interior plate in order to get this conveyor thing up, unless we could go from here. Yeah, we don't need this right now, do we? Let me just throw some things in here. Actually, no, it's better if I do this. Right, so this is aligned here. We just need to go there. Weld this up a bit. Thank you. And then, if I had some interior plate, this would have been brilliant, but whatever. Throw some things away. Oh, I can't. Why can't I do that? Oh, because it's not connected. Makes sense. Assembler, give me. Thank you. Conveyor, 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 conveyor. Weld these things up. Good. We can weld this up with motors and small steel tubes later. But now we can get rid of this thing. I can sit here without killing myself. Good. And then we want to throw down a junction. So it allows three-way input or output, well, whichever way you prefer. We just need a bunch of components to weld this stuff up, which should be easy to remedy, easy to find, except when it's not, in which case you have a problem. Let's weld this thing. Weld, 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 weld. Oh good, we do have enough. Yeah, we have 7 small steel tubes left. But I should be able to get more of the lander demolished because we now have a loading bay. We just need... We just need some of you. We can only build 10. Okay, this... I'm going to need to do some moving around of things, so if you'll just give me a second. Right, there we go. We have the conveyors done, and the rover should now be connected to the network, which means that if we hop in the rover, literally, we open inventory, we go to show connected inventories, we'll keep this up here, and then we want to go to cargo main, which I've renamed. We can now just throw everything in there. Disregard everything. Easy, right? Brilliant. Very, very good. And of course, we're recharging our batteries, he says. Yeah, we've recharged our batteries with nearly triple. Good. I think we can keep those charging because we've got plenty of stored power here to associate these 2 megawatt-hour batteries, and we won't need to recharge them later on, but yes, we'll charge the rover up, and then I'll go off and start dismantling more of the lander so that we can get the resources, and then also go locate some more deposits. In particular, we need iron and a bunch of other stuff. Yes. Now, we do have a few concerns that we probably need to answer at some point. Those being, when are we going to upgrade the refinery? Do we want to upgrade the refinery, or do we want to build an arc furnace? Now, an arc furnace smelts iron, cobalt, and nickel much quicker than a regular refinery does. However, if we upgrade the refinery with power modules, then the refinery will be better than the arc furnace, because the arc furnace isn't moddable. So that's the question. And the answer to that lies in how expensive these modules are. Not that expensive. I believe we do have the components. Hang on. Module. Give me the speed module. Right, so we've got speed, which is more expensive than the yield. And then we've also got power efficiency. So we can have a look at that. We've got power efficiency as well, which we probably want to use given we're currently running on 2 daisy solar panels. Now, since we do have a source of silicon, we can build more solar panels. Those requiring nickel as well, and we're getting a lot of nickel because we're destroying many motors to get iron right now. And of course, we do have somewhere in the region of 2,000 motors. We've got 1,000 motors, but still, considering that the rest of them are elsewhere, we can. You're done. So if we wanna move everything over. Yep. I want to move this stuff over as well, and of course this is everything that we've got. Though I probably want to throw. If I go 2. Let's throw over all the tools so that we can see what we're actually looking at. Yeah, reasonable. Of course we've got 1,337 motors, but whatever. So yes, new fancy cargo container and docking port to the rover. Done. Right, next episode we may be working on the construction of the deposit, if I feel like it, or we'll be upgrading our solar tower, and show off the script that I'm currently working out to see how good it is. Now the question is, which rotor is stuck at 90? Because it's been stuck at 90 for a while. Rotor 90. Right. What's the difference? Ah, right, here we go. It's because these were limited. Like some weird thing. So you should be fine now. You should all be working. Okay. And then stop showing blocks. Accelerator's good. On the programming block. Run. No. On. Run. Good. Right, that works now. Yeah. We'll do that in the next episode. But until then, my name has been Zero Jake. End transmission.